Hi friends, hope you all are doing good. We were talking about Synoptic Gospels in the previous class. We were looking about the unique materials that each Gospels had. For example, like I said, there were unique materials just for Mark, there were just unique materials for Matthew, and then there were unique materials according to Luke. So when I give you the notes, you will be having all in detail. I have mentioned many sort of things. Same with that, I noticed, I mentioned about the Markan priority, how Mark became the priority. I'm not explaining much because when you get it in notes, you will get it in detail. So less explanations are needed. If there are explanations needed more, I would like to give you more explanations when it is necessary. Okay, now we will slowly move towards the reliability of Mark's testimony. We are looking at each Gospels, how they have made an impact in the Gospel writing. Okay, how they are unique when they as taken as one particular material as such. So we look on that aspect. Okay, today we look at the reliability of Mark's testimony. Before that, I would like to give you some introduction regarding that. All Gospels are anonymously written, but traditional ascriptions of authorship have been noted in New Testament writers only. Okay, we take in all, considering all Gospels. Okay, Mark has been traditionally called the interpreter of Peter. Okay, why we are going to check upon this? We will be looking at how Mark made his contribution when he was writing this gospel, or where did he get the resource, or who helped him in doing all this work. Okay, the Eusebius, the writer, okay, the traditional or the historian is saying that Peter is called as the traditional interpreter. Okay, Mark Gospel probably has some connections with Peter. Okay, Mark reorganized and rephrased a content derived from the standard type of preaching that was considered as apostolic. Okay, now we can see that Mark followed Peter and wrote down the narratives, though not in order, but he remembered them, and he was also a companion of Paul. Okay, we can find it in Acts and all about that thing. Okay, and it was written probably around 70 AD. Okay, 70 CE can be also mentioned as Common Era or AD. If you don't want to make it so much Christian, if you talk in terms of in a normal terms, you can call it as CE. Okay, 70 CE or Common Era, or 70 AD when we make it more specific. Okay. Now we'll talk about the reliability of Mark's testimony, how he has made the Petrine tradition found out through the gospel as reflected in the following. Okay, now we'll check out what are the things. The call of Peter's coincidence with the beginning of Jesus' public ministry. If we see in chapter 1, okay, chapter 1, 14, 15, we see that Jesus is starting his public ministry. Okay, and when we look at the early events, all senders, okay, when we look at the gospel, all things that have happened there is nearby Peter's house or nearby Peter's town. Okay, we can see through chapter 1, 21, 28, where we see all his mother-in-law is being healed. Okay, 129, 31, 132, 34, 211, 1 to 11, 135, 37. We see that Jesus is doing many miracles. Jesus is what to say? He is who is performing many miracles. Okay, but still they were not able to understand Jesus as they were supposed to understand him. Okay, now thereafter Peter and the rest people do not come out so well. Okay, then every time when Jesus does something, or when Jesus speaks in parables, they are not able to understand, and their heart is getting hardened. So every time we see a negative impression is moving around when we see with Peter. Okay, So Peter was one of the center persons in the disciples of Jesus. Both Peter and Paul sees themselves in stark contrast to underline the grace of God. When we check in Galatians 1:13, 1 Corinthians 15:8, and we say that they have so much of contrast. Okay, if we look at their personalities, they both are different, but both of them have made have poured out the grace of God in many other ways. Now, if we check out, therefore, we can say the relation between Mark and Peter are the best explanation for the other characteristics. Okay. Now, when we check out, we can find out that the word immediately has been used 42 times. When you check out the Mark's gospel, we find out that Mark has given it 42 times throughout the gospel in saying that he was so immediate, he was quick to do the things. That means what we try to understand, that when he was writing that word immediately, he wanted to convey these things to his audience. So that's what the impression that we get. Okay, so the word using immediately, and the other word was and again. That word is used 25 times, and then in Hebrew way of speaking, he said that he answered saying. The word he used, saying. Okay, so what we understand is he was in a hurry to reach this gospel, to reach the material, to reach the good news of Jesus Christ to the people. Okay, so that's how we understand Peter and Mark coming closely associated, and they were working together. So that's how they made this gospel into birth. Okay, a final note on Peter and relationship. If you see that in 1 Peter 5:13, we see that Peter and Mark are both in Rome. It's not the close relationship, but when we see that, we understand many things, that other things also support that the Roman province where he was writing. So both came into contact, that they may produce a literature, a gospel to reach the people who are in need. Okay, so in conclusion, we can say that everything that came from Peter, that would be narrow for us, but Mark was often a companion of Paul, but we can understand that he was so much closely associated with Peter also, when we find out this. Now we can also look at the things that they were having a good relationship, so they came in close contact, and Peter was one of the person who helped Mark to write the gospel. Okay. Now when we come to the outline of the Markan framework, we need to check out certain things. First thing that we need to look at is Mark's portrayal of Jesus and the nature of this gospel. Then we check out the book of Mark. We find out that the key verse that is being said there is Mark 10:45. I would like you to memorize this verse, which this verse is a very prominent verse, and that should be by hearted. The verse goes like this. Please listen to me. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. Okay, so this is a key verse where Mark is talking about Jesus, that we find his perspective on Jesus. Now when we look at Mark's portrayal of Jesus and nature of his gospel, Mark presents Christ as a suffering servant. Okay, that is very important. Okay, when Matthew is we'll see this thing when we are into the book of Matthew. Matthew when he portrays Christ, he is portraying Jesus as king. Okay, that was the intention when he was writing the whole gospel, or when he was conveying it to his audience. But his audience needed a kind of Jesus that was a suffering servant. So in order to present in that way, he presented the gospel, the whole gospel, as Jesus as a suffering servant. Towards when we look at our lives also, we should understand that he was not only a king, but he was a suffering servant. He suffered on the cross for all of us, that he may be a ransom, that he may be a sacrifice for our sins, for our wrongdoings, and that we may come close with Christ. Okay, Mark present Christ as a suffering king. This emphasis on the work of Jesus. Okay, his main focus was on Christ's sacrificial death. As I said, his focus was on Christ's sacrificial death as a ransom for many. Okay, Mark write this gospel most probably for the Christians at Rome. Okay, because in Rome we find out that many Christians were persecuted. Many Christians were going through persecution. In order to strengthen them, in order to give them more strength, in order them to encourage them, he is saying that if even though you were suffering, there was one person who suffered for you, who died for you on the cross of Calvary, and that is Jesus Christ. So he was a suffering servant. He was not just a king, but he was a suffering servant. Even though he was God, he was 100% man. So Mark was focusing just on the part of his humanity, the human side of Jesus. Okay. Many times when we speak about the gospel to others, it's very easy to say that he was God. But at the same time, we need to understand that when we convey the gospel to others, we need to say that this fact also, that Jesus Christ had a human side also. That's why he could suffer on the cross, on the Calvary, on the Calvary mountain. Okay. As we move forward, it appears the great focus on Jesus' power and his character. And one thing we need to understand was there was no genealogy or birth narrative when we look into the in Mark's gospel. When we compare in Matthew and Luke, we find out that there is a birth narrative. There is a genealogy given in two gospels, in Matthew and in Luke. But when we check out in the gospel of Mark, we find out that there is no genealogy, there is no birth narrative. So very unique feature of Mark, because he was in a hurry to reach the good nature, the work, okay, the portrayal. He wanted to portray Christ as a suffering servant to the people who were looking for him. Now, one of the unique characteristics of Mark's account in the gospel is we find out the word immediately. The Greek word that is being used there is euthus. Okay, that word, it appears 42 times in the gospel compared to 7 times in Matthew and only once in Luke. See how much he is so eager to find out that he wanted to convey, or he was so much in hurry that he wanted to convey the gospel. This expression is used 14 times of Jesus' own actions and could be seen an indication of the promptness and the willingness with which he wanted to serve. So that's what I have said. He was so sharp, he was so quick, he wanted to reach this gospel, this saving work of Jesus Christ to others. Mark used it in several places of his account, also demonstrate that fact that Christ was moving fast towards the goal of his life and of his service. Okay, his life, his service was, he wanted to suffer for this whole world. He wants to die because that he might be a ransom for the whole world, that he might be saving the world. Okay. Now, one or two more things. We must remember that the gospel was written for Christians who were being persecuted for their faith. I said these were written for the people who were in Rome. They were persecuted because of the faith. Because of the faith they were professing. They were holding upon. Okay. The disciples were reminded in the gospel that cross bearing and suffering of Jesus was the heart of the Christian faith and the discipleship. When we walk according to the path, or when we walk along with Jesus, suffering is an important thing. It cannot be sidelined, or it cannot be moved. And one more thing, he is saying that also the struggles of the disciples in the gospel would encourage the readers and similarly struggling in the discipleship. So whoever is in the path of discipleship, or whoever wants to follow Jesus, Mark is giving an idea that this work, or whoever is willing to follow Jesus, this work, this thing is not an easy task, or it is not a bed of roses, but there are thorns when we go through this Christian life. So today, this time, I would like to encourage my friends that when we walk through, when we have this Christian life is not easy. but it is a life of suffering. So we will look at the many other things in the next class. God bless you all. Bye.